jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back
Once again, you tuned in to World Combat Sports. Salute to everyone. WCS back in the building. Big salute to the supporters who tune in to the channel, man, for this boxing and MMA media content, man. I want y'all to, mark your calendars. I'm definitely going to be talking about the UFC pound for pound list. And also, I really haven't dived into the Aljamain Sterling retention of his 135-pound title against Peter Yan. But of course, you're looking at the thumbnail. This is a Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte live stream. And to be honest with you, it's not many that you're going to find in my catalog about Tyson Fury, unless it's Deontay Wilder. Dillian Whyte finally have arrived to participate in the press buildup, against the current reigning defending WBC heavyweight world champion, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is 31 victories, 0 defeats, 1 draw, with 22 coming by way of knockout. His adversary, his next opponent for which he'll be defending his title against, will be versus Dillian Whyte, who has 28 victories, 2 defeats, 19 coming by way of knockout. Also, if you look at his 2 defeats, both of them have been via knockout. Anthony Joshua has stopped him, and of course, in couple past years or whatever, about a year ago, it should be, I believe, Alexander Povetkin stopped him. Now he's back. He avenged that loss. Well, I think it was back in 2020. Yeah, it was 2020. He avenged that loss, and now he's stepping in there with the number 1 heavyweight in the game, Tyson Fury. It has been a lot going on back and forth with them. Dillian Whyte seems to have a problem. Well, he seemed to have a problem with a lot of fighters, especially Deontay Wilder. But with Tyson Fury, this particular face-off was pretty much cordial, very respectable, yo. This is quite different weather that we used to seeing between Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury. Of course, Fury was, joking around playing, and Dillian Whyte showed up, with a black, leather jacket on and black gloves. As to say, he's a debt collector. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to collect the debt. He's coming to inflict punishment. So, like I said before, I haven't really had very nice words to say about Dillian Whyte's fighting style in the past, because I just believe that his first fight with Alexander Povetkin proved everything I was saying about him, period. It said everything. It pretty much solidified everything I used to say about Dillian Whyte's, competence in the ring, period. Dillian White's fight August 2020 against Alexander Povetkin, he had already dropped him twice. And somehow, some way, he has a zip line in his mental lapse. Somehow, some way, he just his mental focus just hopped on the zip line and just went downstream. And Alexander Povetkin ended up stopping him. Stopped him in the 5th round. This was supposed to be the fight of fights, to set him up for a title contention. And of course, this knockout was absolutely brutal. One of the most brutal uppercuts you will see. I know people, talk about Gervonta Davis. Yes, savage. But Alexander Povetkin, the way he knocked out Dillian Whyte in the heavyweight division, it was absolutely brutish. At the beginning and the end of the day, man, it was one of the most damaging knockouts that you will see. It was very destructive. You know what I'm saying? Very destructive. And the only thing I heard them say is they wanted to get Dillian Whyte back in there. Dillian Whyte said he can't wait for a rematch. I can't wait for a rematch. Can't wait for the rematch. I need to get a rematch. Of course, the rematch happened in March 2021, and there was just something wasn't right. Alexander Povetkin entered the ring. He seemed to be on unsteady legs. And it just wasn't something that I can just tie in. I couldn't tie in these two guys as being on equal playing fields that night. It wasn't like the first fight. It was something terribly wrong with Alexander Povetkin, who would later go on to get stopped in the 4th round. Tyson Fury is a much dangerous animal than Alexander Povetkin. For one, he's younger. All right, he's younger. But overall, as far as his size, the size of Tyson Fury is exponentially concerning. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very concerning when it comes to Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is known to come out very, very gassed, foot on the pedal in the early rounds. But if he doesn't get his opponent up out of there in the early rounds, then we don't know what happens to him mentally after that. Is pending destruction. It's imminent. And with a person like Tyson Fury, we've seen him go the distance in 12 rounds. We've seen him. And it's not like he's a Ferrari in there. He's just, picking and choosing whenever he want to shift gears, and he's got a high motor. No, Tyson Fury knows how to use his motor. He knows how to use. Tyson Fury is a dump truck with a airbox modification, a aftermarket air filter. And he got some other dang chemicals, NOS and all that stuff he used on there. He's a dump truck, man. He's heavy as I don't know what, but he know how to use his frame, and he can be very mobile inside the square. Dillian has never faced anybody like a Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder faced this man 3 times. This would be Dillian Whyte's first time as a professional stepping into the ring with a ginormous type fighter like Tyson Fury. I don't know what weight he's coming in, 270, 275, whatever the case may be. But I can almost guarantee that if Dillian Whyte comes out the way he usually, it's going to be some excitement. You know what I'm saying? He's going to come out. He's going to use his power shots. He's going to try to, go for the head. That's what Dillian Whyte does. A big part of me says that Tyson Fury has the experience to, what's the word I'm looking for? He has experience to smother any type of fire that Dillian Whyte has early on. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Whyte is going to come in there with the torch blazing. But Tyson Fury is so big and so crafty, he should be able to handle, you know what I'm saying, and basically downsize any threat that he has coming from Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte is a headhunter a lot of the times. He loves using that power to go up top. He's a big boy. Dillian Whyte is not a small dude. Dillian Whyte is a big dude, man. I've seen him in person. You know what I'm saying? I chopped it up with him one time. He's a big dude. Very wide type of fighter. Very wide. And Tyson Fury is tall and he's wide. But the advantage goes to Tyson Fury, obviously, because of the championship fights that he's been a part of, and also his ability to manipulate his opponent's strengths. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury knows how to use his body structure. He knows how to finesse a situation. If it needs to get dirty, he'll get dirty with it. If it needs to go to some of those tactics that he's used to slow down the fight, he'll use it. I mean, he's a very crafty, slick, clever fighter, bro. This is the most compliment I ever gave Tyson Fury. You know, he went in there and defeated Deontay Wilder twice. I don't think I ever gave Tyson Fury a compliment, really, when he was contending against Deontay Wilder, because I just felt the way I did about him. But that's neither here nor there when it comes to this fight, because he's going in there with Dillian Whyte, and we don't know how to sit up here and assess the situation if he would have fought Deontay Wilder. But what I can say is that, you know, Dillian Whyte's history in the sport of boxing, coming off Alexander Povetkin, it's nothing he can take from that fight to prepare him for who he's stepping in the ring this weekend. I'm saying it's nothing he can take from the Alexander Povetkin win or loss that can prepare him for Tyson Fury. You know, different size and stature, different ring IQ, experience. And Dillian Whyte, man, he has the potential to go in there and make it very, very entertaining. What he does with it, if he's able to capitalize off any type of window of opportunity, what he does with it, that is the big question. That is the big question. Does he have it in him to remain sound, focused, dialed in, to upset Tyson Fury? Is Dillian Whyte capable of having the best fight of his life? That is the bigger underlying question. Is he capable of doing everything right to give Tyson Fury his first loss, man? Now, of course, a lot of us can sit up here and say, man, this would be the perfect scenario. Dillian Whyte defeat Tyson Fury, who's saying this is potentially his last fight. You know what I'm saying? Dillian Whyte defeat Tyson Fury, and then potentially, you know, Deontay Wilder come back to the sport. But no, we're not really talking about that. We really want to zoom in on, is Dillian Whyte competent enough? Is he able to sustain himself without faulting in his focus to beat a guy like Tyson Fury? Whether it becomes in the first half of the fight or is it in the second half of the fight, does he have it within his mental brain housing, or is it something that's going on that we don't know about? Maybe he might be a little bit more pugilistic, punch drunk than we think. I don't know, because if he goes in here and he lose focus, boxers get hit in the head. If he lose focus, I don't know. It's gonna be all bad for him. Tyson Fury's been there, done that. He's been there, done that, man. He's been in championship fights. He's been there, done that. Dillian Whyte is stepping in there with the toughest opponent he ever faced in his career. Period. Hands down, period. Anthony Joshua, no. I'm not even going to speak about what if Dillian Whyte loses. I'm not going to speak about it. Why? Because it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? He just lost to Alexander Povetkin in 2020. and they was just trying to push him to get back in the ring. And Povetkin called COVID, extended the time out the ring, which Dillian really needed, in my opinion. Gave him some several more months. Then he stepped back in the ring. You know, so I'm not going to really talk about if Dillian Whyte loses, because he's lost when we thought he was going to win. He lost already. He lost. One thing about Tyson Fury we can say about his career, he hasn't lost yet. His only draw came to that of the Bronze Bomber. You know what I'm saying? Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? And that was the beginning of their trilogy. That one draw that Tyson Fury has. If I can predict anything about this fight, I don't see it going the distance, bro. I don't see it going the distance. I don't see Dillian Whyte having too much for Tyson Fury if the fight makes it to the 5th or 6th round. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it, man. I think Tyson Fury has what it takes. I think he's smart enough, experienced enough. His ring IQ is definitely far supersedes that of Dillian Whyte to go in there and give him a very thorough championship beating, in my opinion. I believe he gets Dillian Whyte up out of there. I truly believe that. Mr. Pass on that. What's good? Women's State WCS Big Boy Stadium. It is Big Boy Stadium, bro. Seriously, it's Big Boy Stadium. You ain't never lied. But the only two people that really fought in the Big Boy Stadium and sold it out like that was Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying with the numbers, okay? Big Dog on deck, what it do? Salute WCS. Deegan did all that crying. He better take advantage of his opportunity. He did. He has to take advantage, man. We here on deck. What's good? What's good? He has to take advantage of it. I told people way back when that I looked at Dillian Whyte and I was like, this dude says things like, I'm going to go in there and give it my all. And if I get chinned, I get chinned. He believes in just going in there and leaving it all out, just dumping your magazines, dumping everything, just unloading, keeping the finger on the trigger. Even though you have an entire 12-round combat zone to defend, to go out there and fight. You have a firefight for 12 rounds. And you only have a set amount of ammo. Dillian is the type of dude that goes in there and just unload everything, not really taking in consideration of the supply of ammo that he has. And once he runs out of ammo, Dillian is the type of dude that try to grasp for sticks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Rocks. And you know what I'm saying? Before you know it, he's in a bad place. Now, people are going to try to say, okay, well, what are you talking about? He only has 2 losses. I'm talking about him going in there and making the fight harder than what it should be. Dillian Whyte makes the fight harder than what it should be. Dillian ain't small, man. When I ran into him to that day, I was a Dillian Whyte critic. I tell people this all the time. The table that I walked up on, there was a lot of faces having dinner that night. And they instructed me not to take a picture. And that's always embedded in my memory bank because of who was sitting at that table. And you would think those individuals wouldn't be speaking this, that, and the other, but they were. But anyway, one person that was at the table was Dillian Whyte, and I saw him from the outside. I was at the MGM fishing, so it was in the evening. Wasn't too many people out, and plus I think it was like Wednesday, so people weren't really rolling in like Thursday, Friday. And I saw him, so I went over there and I said, "Hey, can I get a pic?" But I wanted to interview. He couldn't do an interview because he's talking about some business, but got the pic, chopped it up a little bit, and then left. So I got to size Dillian up, and I was like, this dude is wide. He's a big dude. You know what I'm saying? And then I had the opportunity to see Tyson Fury in person. Tyson Fury is just built funny. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury is a big dude with small legs. Like not small legs and skinny, but he doesn't have the obesity that runs down from the waist to his thighs to his freaking, you know what I'm saying? From the waist to the thighs to the calves. He's a tall dude, big up top, and then he just has the legs to support his frame. So it's a good matchup when it talk about size. You know what I'm saying? It's a good matchup when it talk about size, but when it comes to Tyson Fury, there's not too many heavyweights in the division right now that matches up to him equally. Not even Deontay Wilder matches up with him weight wise when they balance the scales. It was just too far off. It was just too far off. But height wise, yeah, pretty decent. Pretty decent. Andrew Charles on deck. What's good? There's going to be a whole lot of funny business in this fight. MTK associates are going to milk as much cash as they can before they close shop, depending on the odds. Fury might throw the fight. Fury throwing a fight? Why? Why would Fury throw the fight? And I know it's a bounty out. That bounty's been out, first of all. And that bounty's been out. And I'm not going to get into MTK Global, legal situation that's going on. I'm not going to do it. It's too much of a sensitive topic right now, especially when it comes to the sport of boxing. I just don't want to get involved in that. There's some heavy hitters on the dark side, on the underbelly of boxing or whatever. And just whatever happens on that underbelly, you know what I'm saying? The dark world, I'll leave that to them. I don't have anything to talk about with that. Real talk. They ain't coming knocking on my door. Whyte can brawl. I think that's the best chance to beat Fury till his tank runs out. True. I agree, Andrew. I speak of Dillian Whyte brawling, but I'm not sure the weight that he's carrying. Derek Chisora is not Tyson Fury. Derek Chisora is not Tyson Fury. Joseph Parker is not Tyson Fury. Alexander Povetkin is not Tyson Fury. So if he's going to go in there and unleash, he better have some type of reserve. When I talk about reserve, we ain't talking about just gas. I'm talking about reserve when it comes to plan B. Reserve when it comes to plan C. That is the reserve I'm talking about. If he has that plan B and C reserve, then he may be able to moderate his gas properly and don't just gas the fuck out and be dead in the water and he end up getting knocked out in brutal fashion again. If he has the plan B and the C and he's smart about it, instead of just using plan A and going all the way through round for round for round, then he has nothing left. He's out on his feet. I don't know, man. Tyson Fury throwing the fight. Why would he throw the fight? Why? Why would he give Dillian Whyte the grand exit? Why would he allow Dillian Whyte to be a L on his record if it's supposedly his last fight? I don't see how that benefits or complements his career to basically pass the torch to Dillian Whyte. I don't know. Now, of course, if Dillian Whyte does take the title, then it really sets up a bit more intrigue to the heavyweight division because we're still waiting on Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk. So in the meantime, while we're waiting on that, what's the possibilities? What can we think? Who what's some names he can fight out there? I'm not just going to throw Deontay Wilder's name out there because I don't know what he has going on at the moment, how long he's planning on being out the sport. So we just have to wait on that news. But what other names possibly? Dillian Whyte wins. What's some names possibly he'll step in there with? That's the bigger question. That is the bigger question right there. But I do have Tyson Fury defeating Dillian Whyte. And I see the exit, him egressing from the sport, would be more so a vacation. Him vacating the titles, him vacating the WBC title. That's how I see it. So then they can get two more people to fight for the vacant title, or whatever the case may be. We might see Dillian Whyte come back in and get another title shot, bro. I don't know, but I know it's some people out there that want to see Dillian Whyte champion. It's somebody. That's all I can say. It's somebody out there, bro. I'm not sure who it is, but it's somebody. If y'all in the building, hit the like button. I appreciate y'all for pulling up and always dropping your comments. What's good with it? Mitch on deck. Tyson said he's retired after this fight. I don't believe it. He seems pretty content with, living the normal life. Tyson Fury said he wants to live the normal life, man. He want to go back. He don't like being in the Hollywood and having all the attention on him. That's what he says. But to me, it seems like that's all he wants when he's the center of attention. He puts on his patented, wardrobe, a suit that's tailor-made top and bottom with the same print. And he always walking around with no shirt on. That's what he loves to do. Now, for him to all of a sudden say, well, I don't like the limelight, I don't like I don't like Hollywood, this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's a little shaky. I don't know. There's about 8 people that want to see Whyte as a champ. Yeah, it's about 8.5, man. It's a little kid out there that's been influenced by somebody brainwashed. Hey, you need to support Dillian Whyte. Okay, daddy. That's the 8.5. And Mitch, why you ain't sent me no cash app, man? I'm starting to believe, dog. I think this is the second time you would want to bet against me. And I haven't been able to pay you because you don't have no cash apps. Now, you might be on the run, might be the feds. Shit. You might be a goddamn a Jewish dude with the voice of a black man. I don't know, dog. You know what I'm saying? You might be a preacher of a church, of these mega churches down here. I don't know, bro. But you want your money fair and square. I'm trying to pay up because I've never owed debts. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is the second time. No, this ain't the second. I think one of the times, yeah, it was. It is. It's the second time. I think the first one was 20, and then this one was 50. But anyway, I admit it's a stretch, but he might throw the fight because he's loyal to Kenningham. I'm picturing in my head some old school mob fight fixing type shit. Maybe not though. Man, like I said before, that Kenningham stuff is deep. You know what I'm saying? That Kenningham stuff is deep. They've been trying to send the search party out and do an extraction on this dude for a long time, y'all. For a long time. They've been trying to get an extraction done on him. You know how many people watching this man's back? Shit. They got a nickel on him? A $5 million bounty? $5 million? Mitch say Fury also said he was done after his last fight. Then the Whyte fight came at the O2 Arena. He fight again for Big Drama Show. Shouts to Triple G. Yeah. Definitely not the feds. I forgot this fight was happening this weekend due to all the EJ versus Bud talk. Trick Noti on deck, man. Velocity Cuts on deck. What it do, people? What's good, family? Trick Noti say WCF salute. Salute to you, Trick. Saw you over there on the panel, man. Shout out to Trick doing big things behind the scene. I would tell you to follow him on his channel, but you don't have one. He just, he's the plug, man. He's the oracle. He knows a lot of these older fighters, man. He be getting them on these channels to do interviews, man. I think that, that's very commendable, bro. That's very commendable. Real talk. And I know y'all haven't seen a lot on mine. He did offer it way back when. He did. That's just me. He offered it. So I appreciate that, Trick. Well, I should say, yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? The EJ versus Bud talk, of course. It's fresh. It's fresh. But this Tyson Fury, Dillian White, all I gotta say is I have Tyson Fury winning via stoppage. I can't tell you what round. As you look at the picture, and like I told you, Dillian White is not a small dude, man. Dude has some big hands, man. Look at the glove. You know what I'm saying? Look at this glove now. That's a hand inside a casual dress glove. You know what I'm saying? It looked like his hand is swollen from first degree burns or something. Though. So somebody beat that motherfucker. Look how big his hands are, bro. This is heavyweight division. This is no joke. Look at the backdrop. Look at the backdrop, man. Mitch say MTK Global been allowing everyone to say dude own the company for the past few years. Now they're yelling he ain't been involved for some time. Man, it's tough, man, when you deal with what's going on with that, man. Like I said, that's a touchy subject to the point where promotions, Top Rank, Showtime, man, PBC, PBC and Top Rank, man, they ain't trying to talk nothing about this shit. Neither am I, y'all. When you're friends with Arab royalty, a 5 million bounty ain't enough. Political favors will have to be made, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Yeah, I know, man. He's deep. He's deep, bro. He's deep. And this dude is anchored. You know what I'm saying? In connections. He's anchored in, man. I'm not saying he won't ever get touched or someone won't ever, be able to apprehend him, but at this point in time, he knows everything he needs to know about what's going on. He knows. He understands what his circle. He has people, and those people around him getting paid. If the money runs out somehow and they stop getting paid, then maybe somehow, some way they'll catch him at a freaking Target. And hey, there he goes. He's with the baseball cap and the shades on. But besides that, he probably has so many people looking after him, man. Real talk. So I just have Tyson Fury, getting it done against Dillian White. That's the most I ever spoke about either fighter, especially Tyson Fury outside the connection that he had with Deontay Wilder when they had fights scheduled on the calendar. Yep. I want to talk about Sean Porter. Sean Porter, of course, has fought some of the bigger names in the welterweight division. He fought the Kell Brooks. He fought the Keith Thurmans. You know what I'm saying? The Danny Garcias, the Errol Spence, right? He did. He fought the big names. And also, if we look back in November last year, he fought Terrence Bud Crawford, in which we all seen it for our own eyes that the outcome was different. The outcome was so different than that we never seen Sean Porter be in that situation. All right. I tried to take everything Sean Porter say as his professional opinion, being that he is one of those names in the sport of boxing. And I just want to have that respect label put on that because that is Sean Porter. But I do believe Sean Porter's been sitting in that seat for some time now. Sean Porter's been sitting in that commentary seat with Abner Mares, on Fox. He was very, very comfortable with that position. You know what I'm saying? He was getting used to it, but that doesn't mean he didn't have the desire to step in the ring. It's just some of his language. He can say some stuff that just didn't make any sense to me. And I was saying to myself, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you being extremely political with your opinions. You've been extremely political. Like, I don't think that's genuine what you're saying. I think you're just doing it to bring controversy. And then some of the shit he says on point. But one dilemma that we have, right? Which side is heavier than the other when it comes to this seesaw back and forth between Sean Porter being in there with Terrence Crawford and him being in there with Errol Spence. I don't put too much into it with what Sean Porter is saying. Him and Crawford has been friends, and I believe that his opinion may have bias to it or not. But he said the best welterweight fighting right now has to be Terrence Crawford. Now, he's been in there with both Errol Spence, who dropped him in the 11 with a left hook, and then, Terrence Crawford, who stopped him in 10. Who is he being truthful about? You know what I'm saying? Is he truly being honest and genuine and sincere about the performance of Terrence Crawford? Now I'm keeping my view out of this. I'm just trying to base this all on Sean Porter, because his worst performance, the worst any fighter in the professional ranks have done, have basically put Sean Porter through, have made him look, knocked him down twice. There's only one person that has bragging rights to that outcome, and that's Terrence Crawford. Now, this is going, pretty much floating around where people are saying that Terrence Bud Crawford, the way he dropped Sean Porter and the way that Errol Spence dropped him, which really don't have anything to do with nothing. Because, really, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford are two different fighters. Sean Porter had the opportunity to step in the ring with both of them, and he did. One fighter was supposedly had things going on, and it was before his accident, and he looked good. You know what I'm saying? He lost all that weight. He was able to go in there. I thought it was potential fight of the year candidate. Then he goes out there and have an accident. Whereas you have Bud Crawford, who's continually practicing discipline and haven't had one of those situations in his professional career, especially at this level, that affected him, where people can say, oh, well, we want to remember the accident, but we also want to give him praise and adulations for surviving the accident and going on to fight and make a living for itself. And then it boils down to how many of those people are over exaggerating what we have before us right now. Because we've seen the fight between Errol Spence and Denis Ugas, and we already knew the results was going to be what? A lot of people was hoping that they get the fight that they want to get, and that's Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Now we're going to have a plethora of live streams and analytics that's coming down, individuals' input. We're going to have so much of that based off what? Errol Spence's last performance. But all I'm asking you all to do is make sure you're grading that comparable to Terrence Crawford's last performance. Terrence Crawford, in my opinion, had the much more exciting, because he was in there with the top tier name that has been in there with Ugas. Sean Porter has fought Errol Spence, Denis Ugas, and Terrence Crawford. The one who made him look the worst was Terrence Crawford. So when you want to provide the report card, you just can't look at the punch output that he was able to perform against Denis Ugas. You just can't give him, all A's because of what he did to Denis Ugas, because there was some times in there that he had some laps and it looked a little shaky. But then you come up with other alternatives as to why, what, this, that, and the other happened. It's always some controversy that people want to just melt down as if it's not nothing, to sweep it, into the dang to the dustpan and throw it in the garbage like it was just a lint ball rolling through. But he had some moments in there that Denis Ugas hurt him. He just wasn't able to capitalize. But my whole point is, I'm just talking about these two fights right now. They're the most recent fights. And it's not something I want to hear all the time when it comes to who he fought in the past. We hearing the same retreaded information. Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez with the leg that had been injured, from gunfire. Kavaliauskas. They talk about the one punch. They don't talk about him being dog walked after that. They just talking about the one punch that looked like Terrence Crawford was in trouble. Kell Brook. They give Errol Spence credit for the Kell Brook fight. And then they try to minimize the internal damage that was inflicted from Triple G at 160 and then fighting under a year. They would sit up here and say, well, he said he was okay. But I'm saying to myself, look at it in this perspective. Yordenis Ugas was never on his back, never on his knees in this fight. But the fight was stopped, and it's considered a stoppage, a knockout, okay? Even though the doctor stopped the fight. Kenny Porter, we all saw what he did, came up on the ring apron. But the way I render my appraisal on Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter is that he knocked him down twice, man. I render my appraisal when it comes to the point of seeing Sean Porter punch the canvas in frustration. He was very, very upset. Very, very belligerent. Extremely lost his emotions in there. And that, to me, what does it have to do with retirement? You can't have it both ways. If Sean Porter was close to retirement, why did he put on a good performance? Why he just didn't, go out? Because if in one breath you're going to say Sean Porter was winning the fight, then you can't sit up here and say Sean Porter had 2 feet in retirement. Which one is it going to be? You have to understand that doesn't make sense when it comes to someone's basic intellect on how they observe something. You're putting right and wrong. It's right and wrong in front of you. Your critical period of learning went away a long time ago. You know right from wrong. You can't say that he had feet in retirement dangling and then say he was winning the fight. It doesn't make any sense. If he had feet in retirement, I'm going to assume his performance wouldn't have been the way it was in that fight to the point for which he was facing Terrence Crawford. People up here bigging him up. Man, they was on their feet. They was frenetic. They was clapping and shit, cheering. Oh, man. Terrence Crawford having a problem with Sean Porter. Okay, now you giving him his flowers and you saying he came to fight like Sean Porter always do. But Terrence Crawford stops him. You say he's had 2 feet in retirement, and his dad said he thought about not showing up to the fight because of, his training and this, that, and the other. But let's go back to the reality of what was said on TV. They said, all these people, they reflect upon when Terrence Crawford was told, you behind on the fight. You behind in the fight. You behind in the fight. That keeps replaying over and over again. So if Terrence Crawford was told that he's behind in the fight, and Sean Porter supposedly has 2 feet in retirement, and Terrence goes in there and stop him after being told that he's behind in the fight. But yet, what you do? Override. That's overwritten by Kenny Porter jumping up on the apron and throwing the towel in. So you trying to say Terrence Crawford doesn't get the credit after he was told he's behind the fight, going in there, stopping Sean Porter, dropping him twice, and getting a true TKO because Kenny Porter jumped up on the apron and act like he was never intended on coming here collecting this payday. Come on, 4-point-something million, and Kenny ain't gonna collect his 50%? No, they had every intentions. Training camp was, top tier, as always. I don't think he took no time off. He made weight, no problem. It wasn't no Isak Cruz bullshit. And people have to identify for what it is. If you saying that Sean Porter If you're saying that Sean Porter, once again, if you're saying that Sean Porter was winning, don't bring in the narrative that he was in retirement already. Because how can you go in there against a fighter like Terrence Crawford and put on a performance like you're trying to defeat him, and then when Terrence Crawford turn up and he breaks his fighter down, then you don't want to give him credit. What is Whyte route to success versus Fury? Can't see him KOing the Gypsy. Can't see him outboxing the Giant Dosser either. True, I agree. Is Dude the Kenneth Supreme Griff of the UK or something? Much bigger than Supreme. No one was bigger than Supreme Team. 50 Cent is. Custer asked Porter who's next at welterweight. Without hesitation, he said Boots. A couple months ago, the man was overrated. Southside Jamaica. Cassandra in the building. Salute to you, Queen. Appreciate you pulling up once again. Flowers to you. I was trying to give Spencer's flowers for his performance against Ugas. But the shenanigans between the two tribes started almost immediately after the fight. And this is what I'm saying about the two tribes. It's okay for two tribes the verbal spar and joust each other back and forth, because that's what makes boxing debates what it is. That's what makes it so entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Because you have certain sides, but what tears it down is when people say they're fans. I mean, they're not fans. They support the sport. No, you're fans. You're a fan just like I am. And then you turn it even deeper. A lot of these voices have connections to these fighters. They live vicariously through these fighters, whether they're in the same geographical location of these fighters or they just love them immensely, that they would go life and limb to support these fighters, which is okay. I just don't like that. If you're supporting a fighter, say you're supporting a fighter. Don't sit up here and act like you're doing something different than what I'm doing. I rock with my fighters heavy. You rock with your fighters heavy. So it shouldn't be anything else between that with insults, obscenities, dick riding, all the names and shit like that. It doesn't make any sense. Let's just rock with all fighters, whoever you support the hardest, talk it up. And especially for Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, we hope the fight happens in 22. We're only in April, y'all. We have a ways to go. And also, we cannot forget earlier this year when Timothy Smith, grabbed the mic. He didn't seem too confident that PBC was able to make this fight. He didn't seem confident that they had enough to give Crawford what he wanted. I'm not making this up, right? Y'all heard it just like I did. When Timothy Smith, let his voice be heard, he was trying to insinuate that, we don't want to insult him. We know what he wants him. And I tell people, I say, well, you can plus and minus there. You know what I'm saying? Plus and minus on whether he's being genuine or not. Who knows? But he was insinuating that we won't see this fight. And then we end up, getting the news finally that Spence, Ugas, boom, that fight was so far away. And I was saying all the time, I said, I didn't know if Errol Spence was going to make it to the fight. Well, he made it to the fight. Not only that, doing the open workouts, he looked great. He was in good condition. I don't know why he was in that good of condition that far out from the fight, but he made it to the fight and he was able to get the victory. Period. Now, I'm going to be honest, the Errol Spence that fought Yardenas Ugas, that Errol Spence cannot beat Terrence Crawford. And I must reiterate this and underscore it several times over. When we look at the performance as a whole, right? And we bring back Sean Porter, because Sean Porter has a common They're nominated with all these fighters. When Sean Porter was about to step in there with Terrence Crawford, and he said, and they were saying, oh, well, if Terrence Crawford, he don't know how to box on the inside. If he tries that with Sean Porter, he may get stopped. So I'm saying to myself, Terrence Crawford sometimes finish his opponents or get the job done or completed so smoothly that people tend to act like he don't have an excess amount of tools to his shed. You know what I'm saying? He's not schooled enough. He's not intelligent enough to have that. But he is. He's very, very smart. You know, for quite some time in boxing now, they always say the brothers hit and not get hit. You know what I'm saying? The brothers hit and not get hit. Why is it different now? For black fighters, it's been like that for a long time. The black fighters mentality is just like Shakur Stevenson fights. If you want to go back, the black fighters mentality was just like Floyd Money Mayweather. Hit, not get hit. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, hit, don't get hit. So if Errol Spence chooses to go against that mantra, hit, to hit and not get hit, and he wants to get hit, and he wants to give the fans a show, then know this, that when he faces Terrence Crawford, their styles are going to have to determine who's the better fighter. Their styles. Both of them have totally two different styles, and people can highlight how Errol Spence is a southpaw and everything else, and then discredit, Bud switching to southpaw whenever he feel like it, and orthodox or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, they have to step through the ropes. At the end of the day, they have to step through the ropes. It's so many questions that's left unanswered. If the fight's going to happen, where the fight's going to be, who's going to get paid what. And of course, the bigger one, the grand finale, who will win between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr.? And then a question that not too many people are talking about is, if they do sign a fight, right, is it going to be a rematch clause in there? Because we're hearing that, 54, 54, 54. Errol Spence saying he has 2 fights. He already had one. He got one more fight at 47. He moving up. And then Terrence Crawford made it clear that he want to go up there and step on Errol Spence, and then go up there and step on Mel Charlo. Now, if there's any feat that seems impossible to me, is Terrence Crawford getting both of these fights. Not to say he couldn't win them, but him actually getting signed, sealed, delivered. Like, for a long time, people saying, oh, man, he on the other side of the street. He on the other side of the street. Now he's not with Top Rank. So if he's able to get 2 of these fights under the same banner, Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo, it'll be awesome. That's money for everybody. But then again, reverting back to where I started with this, is it going to be a rematch clause between Crawford and Spence? That is my biggest, curiosity. Like, is it going to be a rematch clause? Wouldn't you want a rematch clause for one more fight? No matter what happens the first fight. UFC does it all the time. They have championship fights. Boom. There's a loser. Just say the champion gets stopped in the first round. Sean Shelby give the motherfucking media rematch. So we can't have a Lennox Lewis, Hasim Rothman? Lennox Lewis get blasted, slapped. He gets a rematch. Why we can't do that no more? Why we got fighters that saying, I beat this guy. I don't want to fight him no more. If that fighter gave you a run for your money, he was very competitive than all of us thought, including yourself, give him a rematch. I was trying to give Spence for his fight performance against Ugas, but the shenanigans. Velocity say Porter was literally throwing a temper tantrum when Bud knocked him down. Alexander on deck. What's good with it, bro? I watched the press. It was very respectful. Yeah, it was, man. Between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. Yes, sir. No doubt. That's where I'm at with it. when it comes down to it. That's where I'm at with this. I'm not going to get too much in detail about this situation. It's not going to stop. You know what I'm saying? The lives are going to keep on raining. They're going to keep on repeating. But check this out, y'all. Y'all ever come on WCS and click that link? And we're talking about Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. Do me a favor. Please don't bring up Gamboa, because I just feel like we can get real petty and bring up the amateurs. You know what I'm saying? We all know what happened to Spence in the amateurs. We all know what he didn't do in the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? It can get real petty. Why y'all just like going up here and grabbing Gamboa's name every single time Crawford comes up? I seen Brian Norman Jr. hit Terrence Crawford with some lightning bolts. That's before he went and stopped Sean Porter. Anybody know Brian Norman when he get in the ring to compete or he get in the ring to spar? He ain't playing. Crawford had just came off playing around with Hitchens. Didn't really have nothing. You know, he wasn't even breathing hard at all. He was just playing with him. But his next sparring was with Brian Norman, who split the ropes and came out there, and the dynamite was already lit. It wasn't no warm-up phase. He was trying to take Crawford's head off, bro. And you take that sparring and you go up here and see what he did to Sean Porter. Man, it's levels. Man, come on, man. We can't sit up here and continue to do this shit. We can't continue to bring up Gamboa, dog. Gamboa against Crawford. This man fought Gamboa as a whole nother division. So I guess the narrative has somewhat fragmented into small pieces at the welterweight division because they were busy using the same Jeff Horn. He wasn't nobody, but he has a Manny Pacquiao on his record, right? But he wasn't nobody. He was a champion. He wasn't nobody. Crawford stopped him. And then, you know, the gunshot wound for Jose Benavidez, which was years ago. You know what I'm saying? They're just going up the list. Everybody has some green beans. I don't call them green beans, but they got it from whoever. Kavaliauskas, all they remember is him touching Crawford, but they don't want to mention how he was dog walked from then on and the fight was over. Amir Khan. Oh, Amir Khan, he's been done like that several times before. That ain't that special. Okay, but Crawford did it too. Crawford made him quit. Dog. Kell Brook. Cameron, Spence went in his backyard and this, that, and the other. But he stopped him in 4 rounds. Sean Porter never been stopped in his career. He went 12 with Errol Spence. He wasn't same Sean Porter. He had 2 feet in retirement. But what about what they were saying when he was winning the fight? His dad already told him he was hesitant about making a fight, in training. But the fact remained that people were saying that Sean Porter was ahead in the fight. You know what it is, man. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. But appreciate y'all for pulling up. Cooking with Sir Senior on deck, man. Salute to you, fam. What's good? I'm ready for the fish fry. For real. You know what it is, man. The fish fry is what it is, man. It's hot grease. It's hot grease summer, man. It's a hot grease summer for sure. Know that I put it up there. 2-time undisputed in 2022, man. Brian Norman made a couple of people have doubts. Bud was ready for Porter. Must have been impressive to witness. Hey, Brian Norman, he's no joke, bro. Point blank, period. He's no joke. Bud ain't no joke either. Well, I had the opportunity to see the sparring. Brian ain't nothing to play with, period. Whether it's him competing or in sparring. When it's sparring, he definitely ain't nothing to play with. That's one person you ain't gonna get no words out of him when it comes to sparring. I seen it with the Tank. It ain't, man. You know what I'm saying? Give it up for Jahad Tucker, man. Him and Jahad Tucker went at it down here, dog. Give it up to Jahad Tucker. Team Tucker down here sparring, bro. Y'all can't sleep on Jahad Tucker, man. I'm telling you. But Terrence Crawford, man, it was about, man, it had to be like 30 or 40 cats up in the gym that day. That was Shakur Stevenson, Jamel Herring fight week. Man, it was packed up in that month. Of course they're gonna say what they say. But Crawford never hit the deck. We're not gonna lie on Crawford. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna say he was on wobbly legs all on the canvas. And no, we ain't gonna say he got knocked down. Nope. Lie. He did not go down. But what he did do is go in there and stop Porter. You know what I'm saying? But man, hey, y'all hold it down, man. I gotta run for real. I gotta run. Y'all hold it down. Continue to support the channel and turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. I'm out.